NEEVES Knives. I'm Jared with my lovely wife, Kara.
Hello.
And today I am doing a reaction to other knife videos. So if you guys don't know, I am a knife guy. I have a knife channel where I test and review all different kinds of knives and other EDC products. And I also teach knife sharpening, freehand knife sharpening. So let's check this stuff out. My baby put it together. So
And
I don't know what's in here, but I'm about to find out.
you may have seen some, so don't be surprised.
Maybe I have. Let's check it out.
Okay.
Ray, look, I got a new hunting knife. You cool, right?
What's pop?
How much do you charge to sharpen this up?
Feels good, feels good. I charge $10 each. You know that. We know that. But if you grab one of these, you can sharpen yourself for free. Have a look at the knife first.
So I think what he just said is that he would charge $10 to sharpen this, but you could buy this thing for free. And I'm going to tell you why that's a bad idea.
Buy it for free?
No, buy it for $10 and then you can do it yourself for free. That's what I meant to say. But I'll tell you why I don't agree with that, but let's proceed.
Pretty well finished, I would say. China here, I don't like. This is a hunting / boning knife. Boning will be good.
Cheap hunting knife.
Oh. Burr popping. Ceramic. Remove the burr and also polish the edge.
That is
it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so the problem with that is that that's not sharpening the edge. Yes, it makes the apex sharper because it's micro beveling the apex. And every time he pulls it through, it's creating a micro bevel at a different angle. It's probably pretty close to the same angle that it did the first swipe, but it's just basically throwing a bunch of different micro bevels on there. So the more you do that, the less long your knife edge will stay sharp. So if you've done it 3 times, that edge, that third edge, is going to last way shorter than the first edge you put on it, because you're ruining the edge, you're blunting the edge, and you're creating high angle micro bevels. Now, when you would want to use that, so there is still a time when you would want to use that out in the field when your edge is going dull and you need to have a sharp edge to finish whatever the job is. But your plan is when you get home to resharpen your knife. So the plan isn't to keep that edge. The plan is just to have that edge long enough so you can get home and then resharpen it. So it should never be used for a full-blown sharpening.
If you were to do that and then take it home, you'd probably want to entirely knock your whole apex off.
No, well, when you resharpen,
I mean, after doing that, I'm asking.
No, when you resharpen, it's going to sharpen it all out, because a proper sharpening sharpens the entire edge bevel, not just the very tip of the apex. So the edge bevel would be the entire part of the edge you see when you see an edge bevel. The apex is the very, very tip of the edge that initiates a cut. Let's continue.
Some strokes on the leather pad. That will
you can see how high his angle is there when he's sharpening, and he's being very aggressive. I know this guy knows what he's doing with knife sharpening. I've seen some of his videos before, and this is just a cheap knife. He's just making a video, so this is just enough to get the video done so that he can cut paper probably at the end. But that's a very high angle, and the reason why is because that sharpener that he used is going to throw a very high angle micro bevel on the knife. So in order to stop the same angle, it's going to be a high angle.
When I first saw this, that was the first reaction I had, was the extreme angle of the strap. I didn't understand that was because he knew that it was high because of the thing, because I thought that pull-through sharpener, the angles would be so haphazard that you wouldn't necessarily know what angle to strap at.
Well, I mean, it's whatever. They might tell you the angle on the device, which I think is like 20 degrees. That's probably what it is.
It's that low, you think?
That's not that low. 20 degrees.
I know it's like a high angle in general, but I just would think something like a pull-through sharpener would be like 25 or something. I don't know.
No, 20 degrees would be a mid-range angle. It's a tough edge, but still pretty slicey. The lower the number, the lower the angle. The higher the number, the higher the angle. The higher the angle, the tougher the edge. The lower the angle, the sharper and better cutting performance, but lower toughness.
Edge pretty well. Get about 10 strokes on each side, on both sides. See, even 20 degree. This is a dull angle, okay? Dull angle. This to you.
Okay, Ray. Thank you. My knife is sharp again.
I
Yeah,
feel like
your
that
edge is
almost would've
destroyed.
rolled the edge.
It's not rolling the edge, it's creating micro
No,
bubbles.
the way he was just dropping.
Yeah, when you use a lot of pressure, it can roll the edge, but he knows what he's
It's
doing.
just the way it looks, probably because it's sped up like.
Like I said, he's just trying to get to the end
Yeah.
just to do the
Oh
video.
no, I understand.
But otherwise, no, if he was trying to do a properly sharpened edge, his stropping probably wouldn't have been as aggressive as that. But you know, sometimes it looks more aggressive than it actually is.
Because it was sped up, so it has that vibe. I think this is so cool.
All right, I can already tell what he's doing. He's creating a fixed angled sharpening system. Basically like the same thing you'd see from a KME or a Lansky system, TS Prof.
So funny.
So this works. This would work just fine. The only problem with it is that using sandpaper like that, you're not going to want to use that on high carbide, high wear resistant steels like super steels. But as long as it's a simple steel or a, you know, a carbon steel or something, that would work just
You
fine.
could use lapping film.
You could use a lot of different things. But yeah,
If you
it'll
could
work.
get a stone, you know, just a stone.
What?
You probably could find a way to rig up an actual stone to that too. If you wanted to just buy the stone but not the system, create that system, get one of those skinny stones, you know, from like a Lansky sharpening system or something, and find a way to rig it.
There's a lot of different things you could do, but it would work.
What the heck? Knife. Let's find
That
out.
is
Good
horrible.
idea,
We're gonna
right?
sharpen this knife. Sharp test. Not very sharp. I made a little device, 2 washers and a nut on a screw. On a drill. Alright. Sharpen. Oh my god, it's actually working.
Whoa. Oh my goodness.
Sheesh.
Yeah,
He
right.
didn't
When I'm
show
coming
it.
There is no way that he
I-
cut that paper. That was totally faked. He probably took a different knife, cut it, then showed you the paper.
Yeah.
Because you didn't see it cut
Even
it.
the first cut, I almost
That's-
want to go back because I even feel like the first cut, it literally seems
Oh,
like he doesn't
wow, watch what he
really
does.
do it.
See, he doesn't even show you cutting it.
Yeah, yeah, like
So the thing is that would just destroy your edge. That is not smart. You're literally using soft steel to try to sharpen hardened steel. That makes no sense. Even the steel hones that you see that come in cheap chef blocks, those steel rods, those are not good for your edge. You want ceramic or a diamond rod, something like that. Those hardened steels, that they are okay, I guess, for very, very cheap knives, like the blocks they come in. But other than that, you don't want to use them on any properly heat treated, good quality chef knife. Let's continue.
that's just an attempt at getting a viral video. I feel like.
Yeah.
When I'm coming towards my body, the index finger of my hand holding the handle rests onto the bevel right near the handle. And then my other hand, the thumb comes up on the spine, and the first and second fingers rest on the belly and the tip, or the bevel of the belly and the tip. As I draw back and I...
Okay, so one thing you can see, I don't know if you guys can see it from your view, but if you look, this is a Scandi grind. A Scandi grind means there's not an edge bevel. Basically, this would be like kind of like a Scandi grind. So let me just make you guys a little bit. Let me make myself bigger. So you see how this whole thing right here would be like the edge bevel. This has an edge bevel on this side because this is a chisel grind. But on this side, there is no edge bevel. But let's say that this was the edge bevel because that's the way a Scandi grind would be. This would be the edge bevel. If you look, he has at the top of it, he's polished it, and at the apex, he's polished it. And but basically he's just stropping a Scandi grind. That's what he's doing. So he's not stropping an edge bevel. He's stropping a Scandi grind, which is similar to stropping an edge bevel, except for you're stropping the whole grind instead of just the edge bevel.
Motion, all of the pressure is going through this hand. As I come past halfway up the blade, I ease up on this hand and I start to apply pressure with my first and second finger onto the bevel as I come round to the belly and the tip. As I go away from my body, the thumb of the hand holding the handle rests on the bevel nearest the handle. And then my other thumb rests right onto that same position on the
Typically you wouldn't want to do it like this. He's doing a Scandi grind, so that's okay. But if you're just doing a regular edge bevel, you don't want to apply that much pressure because you'll roll your apex. There's an abrasive on the leather. That abrasive is going to do the work. You don't want pressure to do the work. If you're using pressure, then the leather's going to wrap around the apex and roll it. You want to use the abrasive that's on the leather to chip away at the very apex of the edge, making little tiny micro serrations at the apex. Now you can't see it with your naked eye, but if you zoomed in with microscopically, then you would see that it's like a saw blade at the very apex. And that's what the abrasive does when stropping. Now he's doing a Scandi grind, so he's more polishing his whole edge bevel rather than just stropping his edge.
the bevel at the belly and the tip as well. I apply pressure with the hand holding the handle. As I come past halfway, I apply less pressure here and more pressure towards the belly and the tip. And I finish that motion off with just a gentle sweep of this hand.
So this is a whetstone. It's very important that it remains wet.
It's dripping because
I
we
use
had
this here diamond
we had it soaking in water.
plate to create slurries and to get the stone ready for sharpening. I need to get a new one, by the way. You can also use something that's known as a
So what that is that's a diamond plate. He's using it to flatten the stone. You have to do this with a lot of different stones. And if it's an aluminum oxide stone or a natural stone like what he has, and you want to use diamonds to flatten it. If it's a diamond stone, then like a resin bonded diamond stone, I have one actually right here. These are very, very expensive stones. You need to use an aluminum oxide to flatten this, or a silicon carbide, one of the two. This is more of like a stone that he's using right now to that he's flattening, and it's a softer stone, so the diamonds are it's a quick way to flatten the stone. You want it nice and
They're
flat.
also messy, the
They're-
natural ones.
Depends, but yeah, there some are messier than others. It just depends on the type of stone it is. All right, let's continue.
And yes, you can use for flattening. Next, pick an angle, any angle. It can be shallow, like this, or it can be steep, like this. Which angle you choose,
The steeper the edge, as he's saying, basically the higher the edge, the tougher the edge. The lower, the sharper, and better cutting performance, but also the less toughness.
What's
So
with the pennies?
he's just using it as an angle guide. So he's
But I
stacking.
noticed when he leaned the knife on it, they like flipped. Like
The-
I feel
the-
like that could be a little bit of a
Of course,
unreliable.
of course, it's
method.
not good. They have actual angle guides. You don't have to use pennies, but you can use anything as long as you use the same angle on both sides.
Maybe he knows that 2 pennies stacked up must equal a certain number,
or he's
like
ju-
17
or-
degrees or something.
No, he's probably just stacking 3 or 4 pennies on one side, and then when he goes to the other side, he knows that the exact same angle is 4 pennies.
That's
So all he has
true.
to do is
I
use
just
4
would want to
pennies. And then-
know like my angle, but
It's
yeah.
not that big of a deal to know exactly your angle. The big deal is to hold it, to keep it.
I guess
and to
maybe I'm
repeat it.
thinking of it from the point of view of like you were like if you take a customer and they ask for something, you do have to know.
That's different. He's just sharpening his chef knife, right? The most important part is him being able to repeat and keep the same angle.
Yeah, that's fair.
it doesn't matter. Consistently keeping that angle does, though.
Right there. Like he's
Try your best to move back and forth on the stone, using even pressure.
It looks like he's pretty seasoned with sharpening. I can tell by, not saying he's a professional. I don't know. I have no idea who this guy is, but he looks like he's able to hold his angle pretty good.
As you can tell, my table wobbles, so it's not the best to sharpen on.
No, yeah, he is wobbling quite a bit.
Be like me,
So what he's doing, so
Find
maybe
yourself
he's
a
not
nice
holding his angle very
table or
well.
surface to sharpen on, and you'll be good to go.
It looks like he is when he's going fast, but if you notice when he slowed down, he did this. And this is where you want to stay away from. You want to not do this. So as he was coming across the stone, he was lifting. See, I'm going to go slow into it so you guys can see. You don't want to do that. You want to hold it the exact same angle the whole time, back and forth. When you lift, you're just getting to the tip, but you're not changing the angle. There's angle, and then there's height, which is a different angle. So this is just for me to get the whole the whole blade shape, and then the other one is the actual angle of the bevel itself, which is two different things. And it is difficult for people to do if they're not used to it.
One other thing I noticed when he was sharpening is that he was keeping a particular section of the knife and going like this with it.
Sometimes you do it in portions when it's a chef
Oh, that's
knife.
what I was going to ask. Is it because it's just a big knife? He's choosing to do this part and then he'll do this part? Because I notice when you do chef knives, you
I
go
do the whole
from heel
thing.
to tip.
Yeah, I do the whole thing. But a lot of people do it in sections. So, but if you do it in sections, you still have to blend it all in at the end.
See, I told you that
Never
it's
did.
Yeah, you did a
How
good job.
to sharpen that?
You know, you can get a knife sharp. You know, it's not that hard to get a knife sharp. It's hard to get a quality, proper edge. It just takes time, though. It's not even that it's hard. It just takes practice. You know, you got to get that muscle memory.
Yeah.
At home?
There are three ways of sharpening: stern, knife sharpener, honing steel. Obviously, the
That's
best
the
way
rod
would
I
be
was talking about earlier. The honing steel, stay away from those.
It's your-
Throw them in the garbage. Get a ceramic one or a diamond one. Ceramics are the best, though.
you're using a stern, but
They're like $20.
Really quickly, did you move the screen back? I'm having PTSD. Okay.
using a stern, it takes time, it takes skills, it's a bit complicated, and it's a bit boring for somebody who doesn't like sharpening on kitchen knives. While using a knife sharpener, really, this thing is okay. I think the angle is set, but angle's different on each knife. This really doesn't do anything. People chuck it away. Okay? Using a steel is
that
good.
too.
You always see steel in the kitchen because steel is a quick way to reline the edge. Or soft.
So it's a quick way to reline an edge on very, very cheap stainless steel, which is why it comes with cheap stainless steel. You'll never see,
I think
usually,
he's about to say that because
Maybe
he's
he does.
saying for softer knives right now,
Yeah, for
which
soft
would
steel.
be cheaper steels, typically are
But-
softer HRCs.
but a ceramic one will work on all
Oh,
steels,
yeah.
not just the cheap ones. Because remember, different steels, different heat treats, different hardnesses. And you wouldn't want to use this on anything of any quality.
Softer knives.
Yeah.
This is just a normal stainless.
When he says softer knives, he means softer steel. So there's different levels of heat treating in HRC. 57 HRC is going to be softer than a knife hardened at 60 HRC. So these would be very soft steels, like 55 HRC.
Which is probably going to be your average German steel or / stainless steel kitchen knife.
Anything that just says stainless, because
Yeah.
it's not telling you what type of steel it is, which means they're not impressed.
And even when you know the type of steel, you don't necessarily know. I mean, you can usually find an advertised HRC level when there is an actual steel name and you can find the company and all that stuff. But even then, you still, I mean, you have to find a reliable company.
But stainless doesn't mean anything. Stainless,
No.
I have a bunch of stainless steels around me right now, and they're all different kinds of steels.
Neither does it mean much when they just say high carbon steel and they're not giving you a type. It gives you a little bit more information, but I see that a lot on like chef knives are like high carbon steel, but they never say which steel. So it's very broad.
You want to know what type of steel you're dealing with.
Yeah, some sort of a number.
To reline the edge. For softer knives, this is just a normal stainless steel. For harder knives like Ruhr knives, this is too soft to actually reline the edge for those harder knives. Seems like that's the only option. What if you don't like sharpening? What if stone is too hard for you? Don't worry.
Can't stop this feeling.
What?
He's just being funny. So yeah, stay away from both of those. Those pull throughs, like I said, they're only good for in the field. Now, listen, if you have very, very cheap chef knives and you don't care about your edge lasting very long, you just want to make your cheap $5 chef knife sharp, get a pull through. Yes, a pull through will work great for those because you probably don't want to spend the time it takes to put a proper edge on a cheap knife like that. The time it'll take you will cost more than the knife itself. But if you have good quality chef knives, you usually want a good proper edge bevel on there and a high level of sharpness.
Just to preface this next one, I didn't watch it. I just saw a quick tip to keep your knife sharp, and I saw this lady, and I wanted to see what it was.
Let's
so
see
I
how
have
it goes.
no idea what this is.
Here we go.
Hey everybody, this is Jill for today with a quick tip. Would you like to keep your sharp knife sharper longer? I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, when you're done cutting whatever it is on your cutting board and you're ready to scrape it off, don't use the blade. Use the back of the knife and just do that scraping motion. And that's going to keep.
Okay, I'm actually impressed.
She's a professional.
Yeah.
Keep your blade longer, sharper.
That's so true. Stop scraping your edge across the plates
Sounds obvious,
and the
but-
cutting boards. Turn it around and use the spine.
Longer. And that's a quick tip. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Jill. Yeah, I think that it sounds obvious, but I remember growing up seeing, you know, people in my family, women in my family. And also here, you want another quick tip? I bet Jill knows this one too. Don't use glass cutting boards.
Yeah, or ceramic.
They're terrible for your edge, or ceramic. Yeah, you know how some you may have seen where some people they teach you the at-home tip of sharpening your knife on the bottom of a ceramic cup. So if you can sharpen your knife on something, you can easily dull it on that same thing if you're scraping across it. So ceramic would be terrible.
Kitchen plates are like
Wood
the
is
worst thing for your knives. Every time you cut steak on it or
Ooh,
something like
yeah.
that. That's why steak knives should be usually, not always, but usually serrated.
Yeah, it keeps the sharp part of the edge protected up in the serration, so it's
Right.
stays sharp.
It's far harder working in the kitchen with a blunt knife than it is with a sharp knife. The secret behind keeping a sharp knife, sharpen it before and every time you use it. First,
Whoa, I wouldn't say do that.
This is Gordon Ramsay. He's a professional.
No, he's not. He's not a professional knife sharpener.
No, he's not.
And because the thing is, I'm not saying you can't hone your edge every time you use it, because you want to maintain your edge by stropping or honing. What he's about to use is a rod, a honing rod. If it's steel, then he's already, you know, in the dirt with what he's about to say, because it should be a ceramic rod. We can't see it yet. Let's see what kind of rod it is.
grip the steel. Feel really comfortable about holding the steel. Imagine you're holding a
That's correct. So that's not ceramic. That's steel.
tennis racket. Now,
I can't believe
So right
he would
there,
use steel.
right. You think he would use ceramic like he should, especially because I imagine he has good quality chef knives, probably done out of carbon steels or VG10, right? Which is a good chef knife steel. It's a Japanese steel. Now, the thing is that if you're going to do it every time, if you have your edge sharpened properly, your edge should last a decent long time, you know, through chef stuff. So you don't have to sit there and, you know, swipe it across that honing rod every time you use it. You want to wait until you've used it a few times, then give it a couple passes, you know, just depending on how much you've used it. Now, like I said, a strop is another great tool to maintain your edge in between full sharpenings. But if you use it every time, you're probably just because you're micro beveling your edge basically, because most likely you're not going to be able to hold your angle, the edge angle that's on your knife perfectly. So you're probably going to just micro bevel it, which to do that every time, you know, it's just doing a lot more damage than good. You want to do it when it's necessary.
45 degrees, confident grip. This is the butt of the steel. Really important you keep your fingers behind that. You never grip a steel with your fingers over that, because the knife comes back in, you've just lost a finger. Always grip behind. Nice long strokes so we get the whole of the blade.
I just have to say, you notice that he keeps slamming the edge into the guard.
Yeah. Well, I want to show you guys how to properly use one.
Did you see that though? Yeah, every
Yeah.
time he sets the knife down, he keeps slamming the edge right into that steel guard.
Quick example of how to properly use one of these, because your biggest problem is going to be you holding your angle. Your problem is you're not going to be able to know what, because you're not used to it, right? If you were used to it, then I would say, you know, just do whatever. But you're not used to knowing what angle is on your knife and how to hold it. So instead of just guessing like he's doing right now, what you can do is you can use the sides of this right here. This is going to be most likely a higher angle than what's on your edge. So it'll be the same. That's the point, is that when I do this side, I can use this guard and just basically prop my spine on it and then hold that going down. Go over to this side, use that, hold it going down. Now, when I go back to this side, I'm hitting the same angle. Now, if I didn't use that, I would most likely be holding a lower or a higher angle, because it takes a lot of practice to hold and know, basically to repeat an angle. For me to go like this and do that exact same angle again, that takes a lot of practice. And that's why a lot of people have a huge struggle with sharpening their knives, because they don't know how to hold the angle. So using this side as a guide is a good way to do it. Sorry, go ahead.
They do sell plastic angle guides for the ceramic rods as well.
Mhm.
They're shaped kind of
That
like
you
a
can
cone.
put, yep, you can put it right
And
over
it does the same thing that Jared was just explaining, except for you actually know what your angle
the exact
is,
angle.
and you
Yeah,
can choose your angle that way
Right.
that you're not going against.
and they're good to
what
use.
you're-
They're good to use if you're struggling. But yeah, let's get to it.
Then back underneath. It is so dangerous working in the kitchen with a blunt knife. You can cause so much damage. Working with a sharp
That is true. A dangerous knife is a dull knife. And the reason why is because it slips. Your edge needs bite, and it needs to be sharp to bite into the thing you're trying to cut. If it won't bite into it, then you have a likely chance of it slipping and hitting something unintentionally.
knife is 10 times quicker, more efficient. That's ready to start chopping.
I would love to see his
Packed with
before and
cooking
after.
tips, information.
That's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know down in the comments if you enjoyed this video or if you enjoyed our take on these videos. We appreciate you guys watching.
Hi.
Peace.